today in Washington, D.C., at our United States Capitol, the Senate will, and I preface this by saying I wonder if any of this is going to make a difference, but there we go. The Senate starts reviewing the Iran nuclear deal with the Republicans who hold the majority basically saying that this doesn't provide any ironclad guarantee that they're not going to build a nuclear weapon secretly. Well, I guess that's true. The president, of course, this is his deal. He says if there's anything that's augmented on this, I'm going to veto it. And the question is, will they have enough to overcome that veto? And where are Democrats going to fall with this? People like Chuck Schumer and others who are pretty good friends of Israel. Israel not happy at all with this. Well, all of this is very fascinating. The question is, does it really matter in the end run? To discuss this morning, political strategist. She is a talk show host out of Dallas, Texas, and the author of Ladies, Can We Talk? America Needs Our Vote. Debbie Georgatos. Debbie, good morning.
Good morning, Dave. Thanks for having me.
So I hate to start a segment by saying, does it matter? But I think in this case, with this already going to the UN, with the Security Council vote, with sanctions rolling down as we speak, does it matter? Does it really matter? Or is it an exercise in civics, but not necessarily difference-making?
I think it matters a great deal. I think it's kind of a world history changing kind of time we're in right now. Very similar. I know the analogy's been made a lot, but very similar to Hitler's rise and watching Neville Chamberlain and later how Churchill handled him. This Iran is the leading exporter of terrorism in the world, even before this deal where they're going to get $150 billion of unfrozen assets back in their accounts so they can buy more weapons and fund more terrorism. They're a major problem in the world, and for the United States Senate to vote this deal down is a signal to the world, to Iran, we see who you are, we know who you are, and we're not going to put up with you. And I really actually hope, and I hope it's not Pollyanna to hope it, but I hope that in the United States Senate and House, there are enough Democrats who can step away from the partisan politics and see this for the consequential time that it is, and not just line up party-wise behind the president, because it's a terrible deal. Israel sees it's a terrible deal. Even Alan Dershowitz, the Harvard liberal Democrat law professor, was in Times Square yesterday at that massive march against the deal, saying this is the worst imaginable deal.
What about some Jewish groups out there who have supported the deal, even put money behind a few $1 million, like the J Street Group, raising $2 million to help promote the deal? Does that send a mixed signal from the pro-Israeli standpoint?
It certainly does. J Street's well known in political circles as they are affiliated with Israel, but they're even more deeply intertwined with the Obama administration and they are so connected to him that their authenticity as a spokesperson for Israel and for Jewish American citizens is greatly compromised because they're in the left-wing camp in the country. So I know that President Obama's been trying to use the poll that J Street ran to say, look, see, even J Street agrees with me, but I know this is a long answer, but it matters. This is the kind of polling that deceives people. The poll asked if America could stop the development of nuclear weapons in Iran with a deal that required inspections, would you support it? Well, that's like saying, if you could have everything perfect, would you take it? That's not it's not a genuine poll question because the deal doesn't stop Iran from developing nuclear weapons.
Debbie Georgatos is our guest here. She's a talk show host in Dallas, Texas, political strategist, author of Ladies, Can We Talk? She's our guest on 1320 WILS here, the Morning Wake Up with Dave Ackerley. Great to have you aboard, Debbie. Before we let you go, when all is said and done with this and a vote comes down, the 60-day window now kicks in because they take it up. So it's underway, the 60-day window. What comes out of this? You make a final prediction. What does Congress do, and where does it go afterwards? So make your prediction.
I think the Congress will vote it down, and President Obama will veto it. I'm going to hope, so I'll predict that the Congress may even override that veto, and that gets us to a very sticky area of really constitutional crisis in the country because President Obama is going to go ahead with the deal.
He's going to do it anyway.
And that gets us to a very messy place.
Yeah, so we're kind of, I'm not sure it gets to that over, but even if it did, I think you very may well be right that they're saying, well, we've already got these, basically the provisions of it are kicking in. This is all formality. Sorry it didn't work out. Thank you, Congress. We're going to do it anyway. And does that start a constitutional crisis? Is that a legitimate way to term it, or is it just another in a series of boxes that you tick off and say, well, there's this, there's that, there's the other. They all add up to what?
I think that our Congress taking the lead in this issue in the eyes of the UN and the EU and the world would send a signal that America, because America did not in these negotiations negotiate as America usually is, the leader, the demander of justice and freedom and liberty in the world. We are seen as that historically, and we didn't negotiate that way. So I think it would be a very strong signal to the world from us, and I think you could begin to undermine support for this deal among the EU, maybe not in the UN, but among the EU, just realize this was a terrible deal. So there's a great consequence, a positive consequence of Congress, the Senate, being very firm to saying no on this deal, and we'll do everything we can think of to stop it.
Debbie Georgatos, conservative political strategist, talk show host in Dallas, Texas, author of Ladies Can We Talk? America Needs Our Vote. Debbie, we appreciate you being with us this morning. Welcome back anytime.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day.